Hello, my name's Jack. I'm going to play a song called The Weird Kid, which is out on New Year's Eve. If you do enjoy it, please check out my new single called Boyfriend's House to see why I wasn't allowed to play this on TV. Right. Back up on my wish list, go make your own. Don't try and call me, don't pick up my phone. Ain't trying to be rude, but I got to go. I'm antisocial, so leave me alone. I ain't got no stitches, you can see on show, but I got scars inside my bones. Ain't trying to be rude, but I got to go. I'm antisocial, so leave me alone. Been in for most of my life, so I'll make sure you think you can change my mind. I'm sorry that I missed your call and I wasted your time. Don't really want to follow a crowd, I can't see that shit working out for me. This singing thing right here is gonna turn around. Hey, God, I've seen better days. My head breaks and my voice escapes. Can you feel it? Oh, I feel the rush when I'm up on stage. Boy, go get a job. And I'll say no, no, no. Hey, back up on my dreams. I decide when I'm finished. Oh, yeah, I lost some real friends to the city, but held my vision. I don't like to gloat, the sound calls me. I'm walking solo, and I made a decision. I know what the goal is, and they couldn't believe it. Yeah, they couldn't buy it till I'm there and you've seen it. I don't like to gloat, I'm in for one thing. The weirdest kids always say, don't go with the rhythm. Been in for most of my life, so I'll make sure they can change my mind. I'm sorry that I missed your call and I wasted your time. Don't really want to follow a crowd, I can't see that shit working out for me. This singing thing right here is kind of turning around. Hey, God, I've seen better days. My head breaks, my voice escapes. Can you feel it? Oh, I feel the rush when I'm up on stage. Boy, go get a job. And I'll say no, no, no. Wait my turn and bite my tongue. You have thought this was a sing-along. I feel the sound sure inside my mind. God, I've seen better days. My head breaks and my voice escapes. Can you feel it? Oh, I feel the rush when I'm up on stage. Boy, go get a job. And I'll say no, no, no. Yeah, I'll say no, no. Yeah, I'll say no, no. And I'll say no. I'll say no, no. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well done, honestly, you were great.
What a way to start off the show. Can we have it one more time for Jack Child, everyone? Amazing. Thank you so much, Jack. Thanks for coming in. Thank you.
Well, since it is the last show, we had no choice but to go out with a bang.
Definitely. Go big or go home, I say.
Yes, of course. Today we have a show filled with gripping stories at the heart of Portsmouth. Let's get right into it. You know what to do.
I'm Ollie.
And I'm Addie.
And this is Portsmouth. We've got plenty to get through, so why don't we take a look at today what we have in store.
We take a look into Portsmouth's rich music history with a trip to the exhibition at the Guildhall.
We have an insightful look into the everyday life of a young girl who suffers from Asperger's syndrome to learn a little more about what Gulmore Keys is doing to assist those suffering from the condition.
We take a deep dive into Triton Scuba to learn a little more about their passion for underwater filming.
And finally, we see just a small snippet of the amazing work the University of Portsmouth Dental Academy is doing for the community by providing free dental care for the homeless people across the city.
To start off the last episode of this season, let's take a look at the Portsmouth Music Experience exhibition that is currently taking place at the Guildhall.
Yes, the exhibition is made up of video elements and audio content of Portsmouth's most famous bands, along with all the fantastic photographers and memorabilia that you would expect.
So let's find out a little bit more about their exhibition.
I'm Nigel Grundy and I curate the Portsmouth Music Experience, which has been here. Next year will be its 10th year. Going back to about 2010, this building was full of the City Council offices. They all moved across to the big black glass building across the other side of the Guildhall Square, which left this building empty. They formed a cultural trust, the Portsmouth Cultural Trust, to run this building as a charity. The Chief Executive thought it'd be nice to have something to commemorate Portsmouth music. So he asked myself and Dave Allen and Mick Cooper, who were all from Portsmouth in the 1960s, we're all music historians, to said, here's a couple of rooms, do something.
My name is Audrey. My role here is working on the exhibition with Nigel, and now I'm working on this room, which is the 60s fashion and fashion photography room.
Most of the stuff was my stuff when we started off. And then people started coming in with little bags of stuff and saying, look, I've got these tickets or I've got this poster, would you like it? Usually followed by, when I'm not here anymore, my kids will throw it away, they don't want it. We have an exhibition about the Beatles playing at Portsmouth Guildhall. When they first played here in March 1963, you can see there at the bottom of the bill. But by the end of that tour, that concert tour, they're actually at the top of the bill.
We're all volunteers, and when we started originally, we were here nearly every day because there was so much to do. We had so many rooms to do, room after room. And I think once this room is done, we'll still be working every week, adding to everything. Different things come up at different times, so sometimes somebody will bring something in or say, oh, I've got something in the attic.
You get a lot of people of my age and slightly older coming around, and it's a great memory resource for them, especially in these days of dementia. When people suddenly see something and it brings something back to them they haven't thought about. But also, younger people walk in and they can't believe it. They think it's amazing. And yet you tend to think, as there's nothing current, people wouldn't be interested. But young people are very interested in what we're doing here. Well, this is what we call our 1960s room. It's full of memorabilia of clubs, pubs, bars, venues that we used to go to. All have gone now, apart from one. We have the Rendezvous, which is in Kingston Road, and this was a very big place. Anybody who was big went through the Rendezvous, but I say now it's an old people's home. Probably the people in there now probably went there in the 60s. I suppose it's almost a collection of what's in my head, not really having left the 60s.
Well, that's like a really cool place to spend, go and kill a couple of hours.
Yeah, it really does. And if you want to visit the exhibition, then keep in mind that it's open until 31st of March, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yes, definitely worth a visit.
Now, before we move on, I think it's time to tell our audience about the challenge we have set up for this week's show, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Addy. So, just across the studio here, we have Ellie, Stephen and Charlotte, and the keen-eyed of you may recognise some faces here as we've brought back some of our favourite people from the previous episodes to take part.
We've seen a lot of great art-based content this season, ranging from the Platform Graduate Award to Ian Parminter's inspirational Falling Out of a Hole exhibition, and much, much more. We want to see if you can live up to their artistic talent. talent.
Now, you lot over there, you've got to listen up, as you've got a laptop in front of you, and your challenge is to use the rest of the time left during this show to draw the best portrait you possibly can. And the catch is, you have to do it on paint using no mouse.
Ooh, sounds so
It's a
tricky,
tricky one.
but who is the portrait going to be of? Me and my lovely co-host, Ollie, of course.
It's hard to recreate artwork like this, but whoever manages to capture our beauty the best by the end of the show will be crowned our champion.
We'll check back on you periodically throughout the show, but for now, probably best you get started.
Yes, good luck with that, guys. Now, it's time to learn a little about more of Portsmouth University student whose everyday life may seem no different to yours or mine.
Yep, India suffers from autism and can find visually and auditorily busy situations quite stressful.
But Gunwharf Quays is just one of the many places implementing measures to assist those with the condition. Let's take a look at some of the things they're doing to improve the lives of people in our community.
Yeah, so a sort of average day in the life for me, I guess, starts off pretty normal. Like, I'll wake up, make a cup of tea, maybe get some cereal or some porridge. And then if it's a day at uni, I'll normally go out to the IMS for my lectures. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when I was about 6 years old. At the time, there wasn't loads of research into the condition, and obviously we know now that autism and autistic spectrum conditions fall onto a really large spectrum. So for me personally, I've always suffered from social anxiety, struggle to cope well in really big groups or meeting new people, and also sensory sort of perception and things like that. I'm quite hypersensitive to really bright lights or loud noises. I really love being by the sea, and Eastney and the IMS is like a really lovely sort of place of untouched natural beauty, and they've got some really lovely areas there, and I like to just sit and listen to the waves and watch the wildlife there, which is really nice. So I've been invited down to Gunwharf today to check out how they're catering for the disabled community and the different things that they've got in place for people with disabilities, and I'm really excited to find out how it might benefit me in the future.
So we started implementing adaptations around 2017 with a more continued focus on autism around 2018, and we've been looking to grow them ever since. Adaptations that we've implemented here at Gunwharf Quays, we've introduced the Hidden Disability Lanyard, which is a national scheme really recognised across the centre, that certain shoppers might need some extra help while they're here with us. We've also introduced a virtual tour, which allows guests to see the centre virtually before they come, hopefully making it a more safe, enjoyable experience as they can experience the centre. So quiet mornings are every Wednesday and Sunday. They're between the hours of 10 AM and 11 AM. And the brands, where possible, will dim their lights, turn off their music, just to make it less of a sensory experience for our guests. They also tend to be our quieter times with people on the centre, so it's not so crowded and not so loud around the centre as well. So whilst at Gunwharf, if you ever have an issue, all of our friendly staff are approachable and aware of any needs that guests might have, so you can approach any member of staff and they'll be able to assist you. You can also come to our guest services suite in Central Square, where our team can help you out. All of our staff's uniforms are visual on our sensory shopping guides, so they're easily found whilst on the centre.
Yeah, so I definitely think that they cater for every disability here. So obviously there's a huge spectrum of people coming in. Obviously I spoke to Melanie about how it all started, and it was a lady with multiple sclerosis, which obviously they class as an invisible disability because it's to do with your nervous system. So they cater for people with physical disabilities, learning difficulties, mental health problems, yeah, the whole range, so definitely. Knowing that there is something in place if I personally ever feel anxious, panicky, stressed, knowing that there are people that are so accommodating and that the facilities have, you know, they're accessible to everyone, that's definitely an encouraging thought, and it makes me feel that I would be definitely more likely to come back.
Great to see that businesses are trying to do more to be more inclusive for all people.
Yes, definitely, absolutely agree. And hopefully in the future, more and more businesses will follow suit to try to help those with learning disabilities live in a more comfortable everyday life.
Yep, anyways, time to switch up the tone a little bit. Triton Scuba have been making a splash, teaching people of all ages how to film underwater whilst exploring some of the many wrecks and points of interest around Portsmouth.
Making a splash?
Yes, of course, it's fitting.
Let's take a look at what they've been up to and how the sport of scuba diving has progressed over the years.
When you go into the water, you're in your own world. It's the closest thing you're going to get to flying or being out of space without leaving the planet. You are completely weightless when you're underwater. You have your own inner monologue, so you're listening to yourself, you're listening to every thought that's going through your head. Diving's evolved, and like many sports, will continue to. The way people dive has changed. Like any sport, it evolves and it follows mainstream changes. Going out on a boat trip, which can be quite a long day, and only getting a 20 or 30-minute dive, now with technical diving can give you an hour dive, and so you're maximising that time and effort and cost, really. There's people that are genuinely interested in wanting to do UK diving. They're usually better, they're a bit more mentally prepared for what's out there. It is cooler diving, it is lower visibility, it can be a lot more challenging, and it can be very disappointing at times because you have to cancel dives because of the weather conditions and so forth. But on the flip side of that, it can be very, very rewarding. You can get out there, you can have some amazing dives. I've dived the same site a couple of times. There's a particular wreck in the Solent, which is called the Ammo wreck. It's an old landing craft. And yeah, the first time I dived it, I had about 1 metre of visibility. We lost our buddies, we became separated. You had virtually no visibility on it. I think we managed to clock up about 10 or 15 minutes on it. A couple of weeks later, completely different dive. You had 10 metres of visibility, you could see the whole thing. Yeah, it was amazing, and it's just that bit of perseverance. I don't see it dying off, people's fascination with the underwater world, particularly as it's still one of the most unexplored parts of the planet. The future of diving is hopefully going to continue for all the people that work in the UK dive industry. We haven't got the blue seas on our doorstep, but we have got some amazing waters on our doorstep, and it's just trying to get that message across. And maybe one that we should be pushing a little bit harder outside of the dive community to wake people up to it. It's an altogether out of this world experience, so if you only get one chance at it, give it a go.
Watching that has made me so jealous. I'd love to be able to scuba dive. It must be such a great experience. But you know what my problem would be if I was a scuba diver?
What would that be?
Well, according to you, I just love talking so much. And how am I supposed to do that underwater?
I know you do. Well, actually, you're in luck, because here to teach us more about how you can communicate while scuba diving is Portsmouth's very own Rebecca Dawkins. Please give a warm welcome.
Hello. Welcome back. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been good. Very busy diving.
Well, welcome back to This is Portsmouth. Now, how long have you been doing this diving experience for?
So I've been doing it for about a month now. I started about 4 weeks ago, and it's to get my PADI certification for open water diving that I should be able to take abroad with me, and it should be a really good thing to have.
Wow. And one of the things you learn, obviously, is how to communicate efficiently and effectively. So why are these hand signals so important to learn?
It's really important because as you're diving, you have to have a regulator in your mouth, which is your oxygen, and you can't take it out to talk. So you have to figure out other ways to communicate with the other people you're diving with, and it can be in situations where it's really important.
And I can imagine some of these signals can happen in quite dangerous situations, like these things can happen or not, but have you had any personal experience or stories yourself where you've had to involved in that?
Yeah, we do drills because we're in a safe environment, we're with instructors, so fortunately there have not been any dangerous situations where my life's depended on it. However, they train you so that if you were in that situation, you know how to deal with it. So out of air is this. So if you're out of air, if you do this, if you do this, that's not. They're not going to pay attention to you. It has to be clear.
So that doesn't count.
No, no.
Clearly, this is not clear
If I
enough.
did this, I wouldn't get the alternative air source off of my buddy. I'd have to do this. Seeing that you're okay is this as well.
Okay.
Okay. Don't do this because that means something else. That means ascending. You're going up. Descending, ascending.
So not good or bad. It means up and down.
Up and down.
Up and down.
And also, if you're needing your alternate air source, saying that you're out of air or saying like you're good, no, it's okay. And those are the main signals that we use.
Well, you've taught us some of the really good ones, but are there any fun ones, maybe for like a fish or...
Fun ones, there aren't any official ones, but something that I did with my buddy when I was diving was we did see a few fish along the bottom, so I was like, look, there's a fish. It's not official, so don't quote me on that one.
I think she's having me on, I don't know if you know, but apparently this is tortoise.
Yeah,
it's
I'm pretty convinced it is, yeah. I've been to
If you want it to be.
Well, we can just
I
add
don't
it
think
to...
it's an official one, but if you want it to
We
be,
can add it to the
then
list.
yeah.
And then, so to sum it all up then, how has this experience been for you?
It has been really, really good. I wanted it to add to my course, but I also wanted it to, as a general experience, I love it. It's like being in another world underwater. It sounds a bit cheesy, but it is so true. Having the noise being so different to when you're on the surface. And it was quite scary doing my first descent in open water. It was quite scary, but I loved it.
And I imagine, because we know you're a TV student as well, that it must have fueled your creativity and ideas and stuff. Any ideas at all?
Yeah, and it makes me think about the technicalities of filming underwater. There's a scene in Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire, where they're in the lake, and me going under in that first descent, because of the murkiness of the water, it was kind of green in colour, because we're diving in a quarry. It was like being in that film. It was so bizarre, but I loved it.
Well, hopefully it helps with all your ideas, and good luck with it all. Thank you for coming on, Rebecca.
Thank you very much.
Interesting to learn to communicate. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
really good. I feel a lot more prepared, so thanks again.
Now, our fabulous artists have been working hard to complete our portraits, and I think it's about time we check up on how they're doing. Don't you think, Ollie?
I couldn't agree more. I'm way ahead of you. So, how are you guys doing? Charlotte, let's start with you.
Hello. It's going well. It's art.
It's art.
It's art.
It's something. It's something on
yeah,
the page.
Yeah, considering the parameters in which we're doing this, it's not
tough.
too
We found it
bad.
tough.
It's quite difficult, you know, especially if you're like a perfectionist. But I'm pleased with it so far.
And Stephen, what about you? How are we getting along?
I've got to be honest, I'm sinking faster than them scuba divers on this.
I see what you did there. I like that.
This is not easy.
This is why we've asked you back.
Yeah,
it's all
I'd be much better with a pen and paper.
Was it easier presenting the news, or?
Yeah, because I had a script for that. And this one, there's nothing scripted about you, Ollie.
And what about you, Ellie? How are you getting along?
Well, to be honest, I really like my painting, actually.
Just a sneak peek at that one.
You don't think it's good?
Are you sure that's my nose? I don't know.
I mean, do you like your hands, actually?
They're
a bit blue.
We can discuss it later.
Yellow.
We'll discuss it later, but we'll see. Thank you very much, guys. Loving a bit of mystery, little sneak peek, but I'm excited to see how it goes. Over to you, Addie.
So am I. I'm sure they're all going to be very fabulous. Now, I think it's time to take a look at what the local dental academy has been up to. Dozens of the city's homeless have been given free dental care at the University of Portsmouth's community outreach programme this month. Let's take a look at how the scheme is transforming lives in our community.
I came up with the idea after I had a discussion with one of my colleagues, Gemma. We were talking about the lack of sort of access to dentistry, the services that we do provide. We won a bid for some funding in 2019, and we decided to sort of set up the dental walk-in clinics.
The individuals involved were all volunteers as far as those who were on the clinical side. So we had volunteer students, we had volunteer members of staff, and the patients were homeless individuals from the city of Portsmouth.
And it gives us a unique opportunity for our students and for the homeless community to collaborate and work together. We have a service user and a service need, and we've got students who can provide that. So it provides a need for the population, the homeless population, and also an educational element for our students.
To give you an idea of how well it's gone down, my colleague Jan has recently won an award, a Vice-Chancellor's Excellence Award, in recognition of her efforts in relation to this activity.
There are so many people that put so much into this to get it up and running, and it's really lovely to have that recognition, and hopefully it means that we can take this project further. We worked in collaboration a lot with local homeless settings, like the day services local, also the local council, and it was a lot of networking and collaboration to get it to the point that it did.
A lot of the clients were quite nervous. They hadn't been to dentists for a long time, really worried about what this was going to look like. But it was really important to do it because the clients it needed to build on their self-esteem. The dentist people were so helpful. A lot of our clients live quite chaotic lives and not maybe stick to the appointments that they should do. And actually they were really patient with that, and it was really, really good, and I want it to happen again. We now got another huge list of people waiting to see a dentist, and it's so difficult to get a dentist anyway. So yeah, just want it to get back up and running again, really.
It's very upsetting, and I think every time you see that sort of patient with high treatment needs, you always question, how did you get here?
I think it's really sad that there are members of our community who are in these sort of situations, who are having these difficulties, and it's not surprising that their health tends to suffer.
And it was upsetting to see the students upset. I think that made me upset even more so, because the students, some did cry, and some did say how they felt just very emotionally drained, because it's hard to hear somebody else's hardship.
Clearly there's a need within the city of Portsmouth, within this area, as underserved area of our community, but there's also a massive advantage for our students being exposed to this sort of activity, because it stands them in really good stead for their future professional development.
We're really, really proud of this, and it has made such a fantastic impact on the local community, on our students, and actually on our staff as well. It was just great to be part of that. People do forget the impact of toothache on your physical health, on your mental health, on the function. You can't eat properly, you can't sleep at night, that sort of thing. So for the patients that have come in, they've been able to sort of start their dental journey. They're out of pain, they've had some treatment, and they're getting more confidence with their mouths as well.
Everything is fundamentally related around education, and if you don't have access to that education, that's where we do need to start off with, rather than just providing curative care. Doesn't solve the problem. You're always going to get people coming back having more disease.
Well, we're very keen to continue this good work, and we are planning to set up regular clinics within the Dental Academy, specifically for underserved members of the community. That's something we're keen to do, and we're making those arrangements and plans at the moment.
It's so good to see a real difference being made to people in less fortunate situations in our community.
Yes, and sometimes it's just the small things that can make a big difference. For example, this year I have prepared a shoebox for the local homeless shelter. So I've got a pair of socks, some deodorant, toothbrush, hat, a bit of chocolate, and a little card from me to say that to bring some festive joy for those feeling lonely this Christmas season. And you can do the same too as well.
And of course, if anyone at home wants to prepare a gift of their own for the Homeless Relief Christmas shoebox, you can find out more on the Samaritans website. The information you need is on screen now.
Yes, they do some amazing work. Finally, it's time to take a look at what our fabulous artists have managed to achieve throughout the show. I'm looking forward to this. I'm quite excited.
I'm very excited about this, actually.
Let's have our amazing artists join us on stage. Woo! Hello, hello, hello. Right. On the count of 3, audience, let's reveal the masterpieces. So, in 3, 2, 1. Hit it up. Let's have a look. Ooh, maybe a little drum roll. Let's do a little bit of a drum roll while we deal with some technical. There we go. Right.
That's interesting.
Interesting. How many times can I say abstract to get away with it?
We were told they were going to be abstract.
We were told to. Let's start with the top left. Whose was the top left? That's mine. That's yours, Stephen. Okay, so I like how you put our names in case you got confused as to who we were.
Yeah, I needed to remember that.
Clearly.
It was the pink and green helped as well. I put a bit of greenery in the corners. Cause
yeah, I definitely like that.
I'm more of a landscape artist myself.
I like more detail in the plants than there actually is in...
No, to be fair, there's a lot of detail on you. Like, look at your buttons on your trousers.
It's the longest my neck's ever been as well, so, you know.
Not sure about that.
Well, one arm's bigger than the other two, so let's leave that there. And what about top right? Who's done that one? That's you, Ellie. Do you want to tell us about your artistic process thinking there?
Yeah, so you've got a bit of gloves. You know, I wasn't
gloves?
Sure. Yeah.
I just had a nice tan.
Yellow hands was the way to go.
Although I do like the colour coordination. I think that's the hair and the pretty accurate in terms of the palette. I think they're pretty nice. Okay.
And I gave you a bit of heels as well.
Oh, yay!
Nice.
Make me feel a little bit more snazzy.
Oh, look at you, all poshing up. And I'm guessing, last but not least, Charlotte, yours is the bottom one. Yeah. Stars on our shirts.
Well, you guys are stars, aren't you?
Oh, that was good. Trying to get our brownie points in. But what's the stare we're doing at each other?
Well, as you can see, there's the other two. They haven't put much emotion into theirs, so I thought, you know what, I'll pay a bit more attention to your expressions.
Should we reenact that on the camera? Ready?
There, you see.
Okay, all right. Well, it's a pretty tough shout to choose, but I think we should leave this to our studio audience. So we're going to ask you guys to do the loudest cheer, and whoever gets that will be crowned our winner.
Okay, let's hear it up for Ellie.
Okay, not bad, Freddie, not bad. Let's make some noise for Stephen. Bit better there.
Okay, and last but not least, let's make some noise for Charlotte.
I think there's a clear winner there.
Yeah, I think the winner of that one has got to be Charlotte.
Charlotte, well done. Round of applause for Charlotte. It's always the expression bit, isn't it? You have been crowned our champion for this week's show. Unfortunately, we have no prize, but it's the winning that counts, isn't it? It's the taking part, isn't it? The winning that counts.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, I suppose so. And that's it. We've run out of time for this episode and for this season.
A massive thank you to our director and the rest of the gallery team for putting this together for our viewers.
Yes, love you guys. So our amazing floor team for capturing all the action you've seen on our screen. You know what? Come over, guys. Come join us. And of course,
to our lovely audience and all of you guys watching from home.
Yes, indeed. It's been so lovely having you on the show. But we do have one last surprise for you all before we wrap up for this year, though.
We've brought a lot of great content to your screens over the last 4 episodes, but sometimes filming that content can go a little wrong.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm in this too much. We've got a little montage of some of those moments to give you a sneak peek into what happens here behind the scenes.
But for now, I'm Addie.
And I'm Ollie.
And for the last time,
this is Portsmouth! Oh, built in 1510, Henry VIII's famous Mary Rose has served him loyally for 37... defending the French fleets. Oh, God, I keep slipping up. Tell you what, I'll put my bag down as well then, because it's a bit more professional. Oh, got my star. Oh, it's a beautiful morning today. I woke up at about 4 a.m.